All right, hello, and welcome to the MentorFX Private Mentorship. This is webinar 158, and let's get right into it, okay? So, first and foremost, before we even start, I want to welcome anybody that's brand new to the team. You have made the correct choice in joining the mentorship, but you've made, most importantly, the correct choice in showing up today. As you will hear, and as I will say over and over again, almost all the webinars, showing up to the webinars is almost a course within itself. Every single week, every single Sunday, we kind of pick up where we left off a week before. We pick up on some of the similar psychological issues that we either dealt with or the things we were looking at the week prior or the weeks prior. There's an ongoing buildup of understanding, which is very powerful because it means that no matter who you are, no matter when you join, you're going to instantly see how the things you're learning are actually used by myself, used by the members. You're going to see content that goes directly in line with that. So all in all, showing up to these is very, very important, and it's very good that you've done that. Even if it means you're going to be confused, which you will be. If you're brand new, I actually want you to be confused. You're meant to show up to these and be like, whoa, I just got plastered with a bunch of information. Holy shit, I don't really understand what's going on. I understand some of it, but what's going to happen is as you show up to these week after week after week, it is very likely that you're going to pick up on close to everything, and soon it will become just a rhythm of being able to show up any week and understand what's going on, whether you're watching this right now live or rewatching it a little bit later. And we almost always dive into some of the stuff that's happened, the stuff that's happening, go over Q&A, go over some of the stuff we've looked at, get your psychology wired to be a little bit more correct, show you how to use the tools, etc. So I just want to remind everyone that you're doing the right thing showing up to this and being right here. It's a phenomenal thing for you to do. Very good. And you're in the right spot for that. Right? So yes, there's an ongoing progression of going through these. And as I love to say, and I'm going to say it right now before we dive into the overall webinar today, seeing the most recent 10 to 20 webinars from any point. So from now, if you go back 10 to 20 and you kind of start there and watch through, including the just recent ones like showing up to them, you've done close to all the work of what you might need to do. What I mean by that is you're going to see what I've been doing for the most like updated version of what I do. I usually try to explain, and you're going to see it within these webinars, like trades that I'm taking, why I'm taking them, the ideas behind them, more psychology. So the 10 to 20 most recent webinars alone serve as their own course, is the way I want you to think about it. Now you have the archive of everything available from the beginning, which is a powerful thing for a lot of people because we've seen that has continued to improve what they do over and over again. But at the same time, as a lot of you know, I've been working a lot on a mastery section for the team, and I believe within these next 2 weeks, so this week and the week after, I should be able to get a very, very solid kind of from nothing to the best understanding you can have at the moment, especially if you're new, kind of course content area available, right? I don't like to show things too much because I don't like to just teach out of the blue. But I started to put together a proper like step-by-step that we can work through, that anyone can work through and understand. So that's going to be available very, very soon. And you can see like it's very similar to all the stuff you've always done, but the point is to get anyone that's new really accustomed to what we do kind of off the gate, right? And you can see some of the ideas here. Like this is exactly what we've seen over and over again, every single week, every single webinar. This is exactly what I do. It's just going to be even more improved, have a little bit more defined sections to it. So it should be very helpful for a lot of people, which I hope is going to be the case, right? And I mean, as you look at this, you should be able to see the same things we do every time, kind of the EVC kind of system where you have a higher time frame and you have a higher time frame that's proving to be bullish, right? And oftentimes you're anticipating this like bullishness to continue. The validation time frame where basically you're looking inside of the areas that begin to start stage twos for your actual E, which is your entry. And you can see as you kind of go through this, on average, this is my current system that I actually use. So it's going to be very helpful. Now, John says, does it render the older course content or master material obsolete? Nope, it never will. That stuff will always exist. I will always leave it as an archive because the only proof right now that I have of the stuff that actually works for members that I have that have become profitable, that have traded 7-figure days, that have had 6-figure payouts, 5-figure payouts, that have messaged me and shown me, 100K plus earnings, that have shown me proper equity curves, whatever it might be. All of that comes from one thing, because there's only one thing I've done so far, which is have an archive available to everyone of everything that I've done. So that's always going to be available. It doesn't make it obsolete, because all of those things are things that I've traded before, things that have brought me profitability. The only thing that the refreshed material, let's say, is going to cover is what I do now, and how I follow trends, what I look for, how I basically put together my system of trend, and try to get involved, because, well, it's what I found makes me the most money, right? That's all it is. And as a trader, I'm fully aware that over time I'm going to improve and likely have updates to the overall system, even if they're the same thing from the beginning, right? Because if you really consider what I'm doing, right, if you consider I don't know, any entry here, it's not really different from the stuff I used to do, outside of the fact that, hey, there's just a little bit better entry that I'm using to actually get in, right? But this is an MB buy stop, it always has been. This would be an MB buy stop, it always has been. There could be MB buy stops in here, etc. And, all of them would have worked this given week. So there's never anything that's going to be necessarily obsolete. But yes, a brand new member is going to want to use the mastery section, of course. If they just want the quickest, here's exactly kind of what I'm doing right now, and here's something that you can put a system together off of right now. So yes. That's what's going to happen. And kind of like I showed right here, where is it? Yeah, so you can see, a lot of the stuff that you're seeing recently in terms of how I enter, the initial MB, the double MB, or the multiple ICIs, these green areas serve as actual entries. And yeah, just like Marcus said, an ICI is basically a FMB, which is equal to a double MB or an MB, right? These are all part of the same thing. But right now, this is generally my entire system. I've always been able to kind of explain my system or draw out my system if I really wanted to in one image. And this is an example of that. I kind of talk about it all the time. If you can define your system in an image or in a few words, then you likely have a very powerful one. The only thing that's lacking now is either the equity curve kind of experience behind it, or just execution. So as you start putting a simpler system that you can draw out into effect, well, then you're pretty much setting yourself up from the entire competition around you, right? Here we are. So it's been a beautiful week, a very good one, and a few very important things happened this week that I luckily am going to be able to cover today with you guys. So first and foremost, I kind of want to start a little bit actually off of kind of the image you see here. Just remember, this is my general approach to trading at the moment, where basically, there's a context. So this is the context time frame, which is the higher time frame. Trend established, that trend is kind of already starting, and you're anticipating the continuation of that trend. And through that anticipation or expectation of trend, as you go to a lower time frame, in your case the validation time frame, you begin to see kind of price interact with the MAs in a certain way based on what it is that you're looking for. And within those areas of what we call stage ones, since price moves from sideways, stage 1 into stage 2, markups, you have actual lower time frame based entries through the MBs, the FMBs, and whatever it might be, right? And sometimes you can even do them through much larger areas. So that brings me to UJ. UJ is something that we've discussed last week, 2 weeks ago. So again, anyone that's new, this is an example of where just the most recent 5 to 10 webinars will instantly be a buildup of your understanding of what's even been happening live at the moment, kind of, right? But UJ is something we've looked at last week and 2 weeks ago, and primarily actually started with the one-on-one hashtag system video that I uploaded right here. So before I continue, how many of you have actually now at this point, and I hope it's been all of you, but at this point, how many of you have seen this hashtag system video right here for building a system? Multiple times. I have me. Good, very good. Now, I do want to just say that if you haven't seen it and you're brand new here, that's fine. One of the things you can do, because again, this is one of those kind of recent videos, and you will hear about it in the most recent 10 webinars, actually in the most recent 3, is check it out after this. Take a pause, do it on Monday, Tuesday, I don't really care when. Just get just try to watch it, because right now this is relevant to the live price that's actually occurring, which is important because you're going to see how the stuff we do is actually being utilized and happening. So you're going to check this out after or whatever, or if you're watching this after the fact, this webinar, like after the recording, pause it, watch this, okay? Now I'm going to open this for a second. And very simply, this was a one-on-one that I had. And within this one-on-one, I wanted to simplify for the member a trend-based approach. And very simply, all we did is we took the tools available to all of you, okay, which like is the screener. So again, new members, when you head over to mentafx.com, right, and you click on more and click on screener, you all have access to this just by logging in with your Discord now. Which is really nice because this is the tool that we use to basically do everything. And within this video, right, I go over multiple bullish markets, and I basically show the member how even with nothing, if you're brand new and you have no understanding of anything, simply looking at something like this that tells you, hey, a market is bullish or bearish, right? In this case, bullish. The market is extremely bullish. It's very green. That's all it's doing. And all you do on that market, without any consideration of anything else, is you simply go to, let's say, any given time frame. In this case, I'm going to use a daily because when you have overall bullishness like this across multiple time frames from a higher to a lower, on average, a higher time frame, so I'm talking like 4 hour plus, 1 hour plus, 1 day plus, maybe even a weekly, is going to naturally sustain that trend. So when you see extreme bullishness, extreme greenness like this, can you expect that in the coming 3 weeks, price is going to be higher than where it is right now? What do you think as a potentially new member, if you're new? Otherwise, you can answer this whoever you are. It does not really matter. You're all good, Tess. No, not the aid. You're all good, man. But yes, the answer is yes, right? On average, if every time frame below, let's say that daily, is showing overall bullishness, the likelihood that within about a week or 2 weeks, especially on a higher time frame, that price is going to be higher than that point, increases. So very simply, if you have no system, no entry, nothing under your belt, only the fact that a tool is telling you that overall the market condition is bullish, and all you did is simply on that market, you can take a look at it right now, this bullishness has been present, just so you guys know, since around here. And you're going to see that within the webinars. But what's cool now is that as a trader, and this is what was covered in this video right here, I'm going to cover it very quickly now. And what I did for this member is I said, if you understand that our market is bullish and it's been showing bullishness and it's basically showing you a version of this, then you know, on average, if you just set up buy points above price and held for a 1 to 2, 1 to 3 hour delivery, you're going to make money. Or like very little money, but you're going to make money. So for instance, if I set up a buy, let's do it in black. If I set up a buy here, so again, above price, if I set up a buy here, if I set up a buy here, if I set up a buy here, and I set up a buy here. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. Now, the way this is going to work is once I enter a buy, once I'm in a buy, I'm going to simply take a larger stop because I just want to be in the move. I'm going to look for a 1 to 2 RR ratio, nothing more, nothing less. Very, very simple, risk to reward. And what's going to happen is if I get into a trade, I'm not going to execute another trade. So I want to show you guys why it's so important just to understand context, because context, aka the ability to find and spot a trending-based market, is more important than the entry, and then your entry comes after, right? So if we know that this market is very, very bullish, and all I do is I set up a buy, and I wait to get tapped in, okay, so I get tapped in, I cancel every other buy and I wait. Now price either comes here and makes me +2 on my risk, or comes here and makes me -1. And then I can repeat and reset up buys. So let's take a look at what happens. Okay. So again, I don't take any further buys because I'm already in one, so I just wait. And in the event that price does come here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to set up another long through the high. That's it. So nothing happens, and I actually take a loss, right? So in this scenario, all that happens is I take a loss, and I repeat because I know that overall market is likely bullish. So in that event that it's bullish, as price, if it does start coming higher, I'm going to get into a long. So again, I'm going to set up highs throughout price, right? Just set them up and take a long. That's all I'm doing is I'm setting up longs above price within what I'm supposed to be an overall bullish market. So you get tapped in. And again, all I'm doing is I'm holding this until it either wins or loses and repeating the same process. So I'm waiting. This is not active yet. I'm waiting. I'm waiting, nothing to do, nothing to do. Okay, you get +2, you get tapped in again, you wait, again, you can have another one set up here, if this one does end up delivering, right? Simple, simple. So now you just wait, and here we are with price, right? So again, in the scenario here, right, is the system that I'm utilizing profitable? Just based on the few trades we took here, it is, right? Now notice how your actual earnings are substantially less than what they could be if you had a more refined entry or more entries or smaller stops and larger take profits or zoomed in based entries. But the point is, with simply nothing under my belt as a completely, let's say, brand new member that has no understanding of anything, if I can simply screen or find a good market condition and generally take longs into that market, on average, you know, this wasn't unlucky, like this is relatively unlucky, but on average, I'm still going to make money over time. Now, for some of you, that might not be enough, and that's fine. That's exactly why we learn how to refine better, we get better at trading. So what I did for this member in this video, which you will all see, and I hope that you see after this video, is I went deeper and I said, okay, let's create a concept or ideas out of the market for actual multi-time frame based longs, right? So what I did is I told the member then to basically wait for the daily to be bullish, which it already is. Here it is, already bullish. Everything's already bullish. And all we're going to wait for is for price to flush out. That's when price pulls back to basically some deeper averages. Flush out, and then at that point to go down to a lower time frame. So apply what we call the EVC. This is where if you're trading, if you're looking at a daily context, or if you're actually looking to enter, let's say, on an hourly chart, okay? On average, if you multiply by 6, your validation time frame should be around a 6 hour or simply a 4 hour is what I did with the client, okay? And then if you multiply that again by about 10 or 6, so again, 6 to 10 is the rule, you get about 40 hours, which is equivalent to about 1 day or 2 days. So again, that's up to you, but in this case with the client, I used 1 day, simply. So now we've already refined a version of an entry without even looking for entries yet. So what we've done is we've given price a little bit more steps by which we will refine without just taking a random entry. Because now, theoretically, again, if you're brand new, would you agree with the statement? Theoretically, now, if you have 3 timeframes that you're waiting to align for an entry, and then you're taking an entry, is that going to give you better results or worse entries than just throwing a random entry at the market, which is what we just did on the daily, right? It's going to give you better, of course, right? Because now, instead of just taking that random entry, you're probably just going a little bit deeper and saying, should I take it? And then how can I refine my risk a little bit better? That's a very, very powerful thing, right? So what I did for the member is I said, okay, we're going through this. And all we're going to look for is for the daily to flush out. We're going to then look for the 4 hour, okay, to be at or below a 200 moving average, because on average, when prices come to these averages and come above them, they accumulate into new longs. So that's what we'll look for on a 4 hour. And then on the hourly, all we will look for is a big box to buy. We're going to buy like this and put a stop here. That's it. That's the entire system that I told the client that we're going to use and it did an example for. And then we actually tested in that video, which you're going to check out after this. We tested all of the UJ action basically since like from back here. And we saw multiple very, very good entries that could have come from it and made you a lot more money than the random throw. Now what's cool is, as we did the back test, the video that we did was actually around here, literally around here. And at that time, through the back test, we were around here on price. And what do you notice about price here? Through the EVC, through the EVC, the context time frame, which is the daily right now, does this qualify as what I would call a normal flush? Even if you're brand new, a flush, like I said, is when prices are already bullish, everything's bullish, it's moving bullish, and then price moves back to some of the averages as a flush. Does anyone here that's brand new even, that might not even understand kind of like what's even going on at MenTFX, understand that this is what I would qualify as a simple flush, just by the fact that it moved higher and then it came down on a higher time frame, and that is it. And the Bang Williams says, yes it is, and I'm brand new. Beautiful. So already my man Williams is about to become a professional. Okay, phenomenal. But yes, this is what I would call a flush. And at that point, At that point, as I told the member, and as you will see, all of you will see in this video, so this is why you're going to watch it, it's going to be a complement to this webinar. The 4 hour should now be doing a very simple thing. It should be interacting with or just under the 200 EMA. So as I move to a 4 hour, what do you see? This right here is the 200 EMA. Okay, price came down to start interacting with, has undercut or just reclaimed the 200 EMA. So at that point, we should be in an area where, theoretically, if I wanted to, you could just throw on a buy. But instead, what I told the member is I want to move down to my entry time frame to find a buyable box. And as I move to an hourly, this is what we were left with. This sideways action right here. This one right here. And that's exactly what, within the backtest that we did, we showed as a long. And what's funny is, maybe I can bring it up very quickly. What's funny is, yep, so you can see where price is right now, live, as it is. Let me go back here a little bit. Beautiful, beautiful. No, this is not, this is it. Now let's see if he goes lower. Yeah, so I tell him what we should see on the 4 hour. Let's go down that lower time frame. Now it's USDCHF. No, so it actually flushes out again. There it is. Okay, fantastic. So you guys see this area right here? I wanna make sure it lines up. Here you go. Hold on. Comes down lower. Okay. Does everyone see this area right here? I'm gonna redraw it. Okay. Does everyone see this right here? This was from the test, and you can see on the right, this was actually live price. So we were right at that buy point, okay? Now again, this is not the system that I fully use right now. Like, this is not the system I'm executing my trades with. But it is a system that you can start with a very basic understanding to start understanding how trend actually delivers, okay? So all I said is, because we've been going sideways and we have multiple time frame alignment and we have a screener that's showing overall bullishness, we take that buy through that high. And then you can see right now, this is actually live price. You can see right here, you know, the countdown is going. It's live price, so we don't know where it's going to go. And since that point, a lot of you have seen what has occurred. Now, again, this is not crazy earnings. You know, at a 1 to 2, again, you've made money already. This trade has made you money. It's not crazy earnings or anything along those lines, but it's simply a demonstration that you can already have some profitability from having a very, very easy, let's call it, understanding of trend, right? Or what makes a trend. And again, do any of you, even if you're new, right? So this is from my boy Williams, because I know he's new because he said so. You know, does any of this make very little sense where it's like this insane complex criteria? Or does this kind of line up with, okay, if there's a trend, then as I go lower and as price interacts with, let's say, a 200, a longer term MA, and gets above it, a lower time frame should set up a buyable area, right? Does any of that make unbewildering amounts of sense to you, or is that kind of in line? It makes sense fractally. Okay, good. And now what's cool also is that as we start this move, you get other entries too. Like, does everyone understand why you can buy through this little sideways and buy stop there, or buy through this sideways and buy stop here? Right, so I'm talking about specifically this entry and specifically either this entry here. Actually, yeah, this entry's fine too. Ment got sponsored by Prime. Buddy, I don't drink that shit. This is... Okay. Before we continue, I must clear my name, okay? This is green tea, okay? It's green tea, bro. It's good. It is good green tea. But this is not time to talk about the green tea, guys. We are going to become profitable here, okay? Can everyone relax? So this right here is from literally a few weeks already down the rabbit hole of just looking at simpler entries. If I go into the webinar recordings now, and I simply go back, like, let's say 2 weeks to 0609. This is 1 minute. We're not interested in the 1 minute. Don't know exactly where it is. I don't wanna take too long looking for it, to be honest, but yeah, I'm not gonna sit here looking for it. That's fine. Whatever. The point is, we've covered this over the last basically 2 weeks of this specific exact move, right? With a very simple approach of buying an overall kind of box, and you could have bought a higher up box, but you know, this was the initial box that occurred, and looking to hold for a minor profit. Okay, and again, this goes directly in line with what I talk about from trends, right? You're gonna see the same thing happen if you want this exact criteria, right? You're gonna see that same thing happen in here. You're gonna see it happen in here. You're gonna see it after this, right? And now one thing that's gonna happen, you know, so I'm actually gonna do this for a lot of people that maybe even intermediate, because this is usually the question that happens. What question do you think usually happens when it comes to, you know, buying that same entry inside of this area versus something like this here or this here? What do you think one of the questions that I normally get is? So you're gonna have to go deep right now and try to figure out the question that a lot of people try to ask here when we look at like this much deeper move, this much bigger move, you know. Yeah, perfect. Gilzu got it on the nose, right? On the dot. A lot of members, especially when you're more of a beginner or maybe even intermediate, one of the things that people ask, yes, Yuke's got it as well, is how do you know? You know, how do you know this flush is over? How do you know that that thing is ready to be traded? How do you know you can actually enter that buy? And that's where this beauty of what we basically just taught as EVC comes in, right? Because theoretically, based on the fact that you've understood how moves happen, you shouldn't be getting an entry until all these things align, right? So whether a flush is going to be very large or very minor, following simple rules is actually going to tell you the answer. And I'm going to show you that in 1 second right now. So what did you notice here when we went inside of that on that 4 hour for that 200 EMA rule? What happened? Price flushed out under the 200, and then what happened? It reclaimed it, and where do we take the entry? Up here. Did we take the entry as it started reclaiming the 200 and up and over it on the lower time frame, or before it? If this was the entry on that lower time frame, right? It was above that 200, right? Okay, great, fantastic. So again, that question that I normally get is, how do you know that it's over? I want to show you guys that same thing. So price starts to flush out. Now, is it normal to expect that due to this flush out, price is going to likely start a move like this? Is it likely to expect that? It actually is, right? It's actually very likely to do that. Okay, sure. But now, check this out. As I move to a 4 hour, what do you start to see? Here's that 200 EMA. Price is below it. Okay. And what's our only rule? The 4 hour or the validation time frame should get above it. Okay. So I'll wait, and I'll wait, and I'll wait, and I'll wait, and I'll wait, because it still hasn't met the rules, and I'll wait. And despite me thinking that it was ready, I'll wait, because it's still under the 200. So I have to wait, and wait, and wait, and it starts pulling above. And then if I go to my hourly, as it should start setting up those moves, right, I should see price starting to do what? Make some kind of a box that's buyable. That's it, right? A longer term one. So let me see if I can get one. Starts making a longer term box. Continues making a longer term box. Continues making a longer term box. You could even move it lower if you wanted to, something like this. And then look for your 1 to 2, because you're trading a simpler system. 1 to 2. Now head back to the 4 hour. And price should pull back if it wants to. So it starts pulling back again, but there's nothing for me to do. That should even set up a lower time from entry again, right? Because on the daily, remember, what's it doing? Is it flushing out again? Is it moving down again while being bullish into the MAs? So I saw some people saying, what's a flush? Pay attention to this right now. A flush is simply when price moves back to the MAs after moving. And again, some of you might be trading deeper flushes. Some of you like smaller ones. That's all. So it's starting to flush out. Okay, so the 4 hour should be at the 200 or just above it. In this case, we just came up over the 200 and we're up here. So the hourly should be doing what? Creating a buyable box. Is it doing that? without any further thought process, and then we'll look for the 1, the 2. Without any further thought process, we're going to apply simple rules. And if this one gets tapped in, we'll move this one to break even, to take off risk. Comes down. We can make that box bigger if we want, or we can wait. This is preference, but again, if we keep the rules as simple as ever possible, right? And we just kept them as simple as we can, like without even thinking about it. And just did this where we're like, okay, that's a big box. We'll take it. And you take it, and then you go to your higher time frame, you just get to watch it. You know, I'm pretty sure this delivers. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it flushes, but that's okay. You know, it will happen that prices flush out, but we'll just go to the daily, it's fine. Let this do whatever it wants. Okay, so it does flush, but it doesn't stop you out, which is great. And then it goes. Okay, great. So already, we've improved our overall system. Even the new people here just improved their overall system of just buying a market to a few more steps, right? I don't understand how you chose the box because it's not an MB. It is. An MB is what? So sport mode, define MB for me, please, before we continue with this. High and low. Nope. It's a big demand zone. That's it. A big demand zone. There was some kind of selling that came in, and it started to form what could be a demand zone. And when a demand zone gets traded through, it becomes validated. And a validated demand zone simply means that price wants to run supply. That's it. Okay? That's it. That's all an MB is. Now, there are ways to view MBs. Like, for instance, the MB structure viewer has specific rules behind which it uses to view MBs. But that is not what an MB is. That is a version of an MB. This right here is an MB, regardless of what the other, whatever else is happening. The fact that we're bullish on a market and this creates this, if this is you as a higher time frame trader, if you're a monthly based trader, this is a trade that you're taking. And that might be something you're now in. I don't know if this delivers. Right? This is a trade like that Warren Buffett or someone, right, would take. This lines up with what they would be looking for. A bank, whatever, like a person working at a bank, at an institution, this is the trade they're taking. Right? You have a probably time frame alignment from the monthly, right? The monthly starting to move into relatively clear bullishness. I would ignore this redistribution down here. The weekly, right, has just come under a 200 MA. The daily has set up the MB. Or you could use the smaller MB that formed here or here and buy stop that one with your stop here. And now this is the trade that you're making as a bank with multiple billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, billions probably behind this. And the delivery of this makes you billions of dollars for your clients because you're managing probably 600 bill under your belt and now you've made a few billion, 100 billion for your clients, right? Because this is how you anticipate basically higher time frame based trades. Because that's demand, right? When you validate that demand overpowers all the supply that's in that market, and as a result, you get a run. Okay? So an MB, and the definition of an MB has never changed. It's a large demand zone. And in this system, what I'm showing you is that when you align the MBs through the form of models, right, which is overall bullishness, and which is exactly how the screener functions. It looks at, well, it looks at a little bit more because we're building this out to have a lot more better screening capabilities, but it's looking at the MBs from a model perspective. And then you have the opportunity to buy it using an actual demand creation on the chart. Mahmoud says, would you mind showing a few demonstrations using a sub 30? You do the exact same thing, dude. That means that the 4 hour is going to flush out. You wait for a 4 hour to flush out. Here's a flush out on a 4 hour. Here's a flush out on a 4 hour. What should that mean for a 30 minute? It'll go under the 200 and then start giving you bullishness. Okay. So if we wait for it to load, price gets under the 200. You can start watching it here, here, and here. Price gets under the 200. You can start watching it where? Here and here. Over there, you should get your 5 minute based entries of MBs to buy stop. What do you get? Buy stop the MB, put a stop under the low, Look for your 1 to 2. It delivers. Wait for a big MB. Buy stop the MB. Stop under the low. Look for your 1 to 2. If that's what, again, simple system, but 1 to 2. Okay, yeah, you got the delivery this week because it went crazy. Again, there's nothing different at all. You use this with any time frame you want. That is the power of EVC. That is why I don't teach you time frame 1 that needs to be this one and this one and this one because you need to be perfect. And on Instagram, 1 minute is the only way. No, it's simply the fact that price repeats itself fractally across every single fractal. And if you apply an EVC within 3 generally cohesive timeframes, you're going to have the same things repeat. And even as simple as a system like this one right here, where you're buy stopping a big demand. Okay? So all price has to do is come above, no other requirements. Did I go over any other requirements? The requirement is that you have a market that wants to go. And again, all I'm doing is I'm starting this by showing you that even as someone that has no deeper refinement under their belt and coming at a system that is relatively extremely simple that you could probably learn in under a week to a month, right? And then start to test properly, you can have an overall profitable system. Now, will it deliver as much RR or as much percent return as you might currently think you want? No, it won't. But it is profitable. And profitability at the moment is a lot more important for a lot of people than is making sure I'm making a fuck ton of money. Well, it starts off, as a trader, you start off thinking, or a person that's learning the trade, you start off by thinking you're going to make all the fucking money in the world very quick. And then you realize that, holy shit, you're going to be a losing trader for a long time. So instead, you start focusing more on profitability. And then you can realize a system like this will bring you that profitability or has profitability. Again, not guarantees, just my personal opinion. And then you can apply. Danielle says, could you integrate a green trigger? You can integrate anything you want. Again, remember why I'm doing this. Please remember how I started this entire conversation and what I started by doing. When I started the conversation by showing you that you can randomly buy a market and it's profitable and then move that into a little bit deeper, and then I tell you that over time you will refine your system, Danielle, you should be able to answer that question for yourself. Otherwise, I don't know if you're taking the correct teaching out of this, right? I was testing this last night. Price comes above the MA and then goes lower, and I was surprised at the result, but I feel like I need more. Of course you do. You'll be surprised by the result, but the more you apply yourself, the more you learn that, hey, this is how markets move. This is how trends deliver. Yes, if you trade a system like this, it'll take a little bit longer to deliver, but it's right there. That's how trends literally function. And you can start to execute it for real, right? I'm going to go up a little bit here and see what was going on in the chats, because I know that you guys wrote some stuff, but I just wanted to make sure I covered this starting point, because this is something we've been covering for the last few weeks. It's been something that's been on the screener and has been green for however long this is. So this thing has been on our screener and green for about 415 days, guys. Just remember that. 12 months plus, about 1.25 years we've been watching this and following it along. And there's been times, despite all of that, where nothing can be done, where there's a lot of sideways and nothing to do, right? Remember that test we just did, that 4 hour where we waited for it to get above the 200, take an entry here. Just remember that was 2 months. We just went to 2 months of data by waiting there. A lot of people, especially if you give them a profitable system like this one out the gate and you say, go execute it, will not be able to execute because on day one, if there's not an entry available, they're going to feel like they're not doing something right. Even though it took just from this high into the flush out 2 months before an opportunity was provided. You know, this is the staple of trading. This is the understanding that comes in trading. You know, if you're using, let's say, a higher time frame like this one right here, and again, the reason I'm showing this on a higher time frame is because if you have a lot of lower time frame stuff aligned, then a higher time frame is likelier or unlikelier to deliver in a direction, guys. Higher or lower probability. If you have all these lower time frames that agree, do you think the daily is going to have a higher or lower likelihood? Higher, right? Now, let me ask you a further question. In a given week, on a 30-minute or a 1 hour, is it as likely to deliver as this daily over that, kind of relativity in time? The answer actually is no, right? Because you have less alignment through the stuff under it, right? The more stuff under that you have, right, through a higher, which is why I'm showing you this on a higher, the more likely you have the precedent of a move to follow, which is why I'm giving you this system and showing you the system on a higher time frame. So if you were to apply the system right now, a lot of you that have no profitability and have never seen profitability would actually become, what's the magic word? What would you become if you applied the system right now, but you tested it and then applied it on even a men-funded account? Boom, you're profitable. Now again, that profitability might not be enough for you at the time, and it probably won't be, right? Because a system like this, you're probably looking in the last year or so, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, maybe 10R, maybe more, but basically within the last, year, you're probably looking at around 10R gain. Now again, for some of you, that's really good. And for some of you, if you're, let's say, trading a bigger account, let's say a 1 mil with Ment funding, or you've even scaled it, let's just say it's a 1 mil at 0.5% risk, which I think is very high. That's very high risk. But let's say you're doing that. That's 5K, and that's only, well, not only, but only 50K in a year and a half, right? Now, for some of you, that's really good, and you can already start doing that, and you're more than happy, and that's phenomenal, because for some of you, that's all you need at the moment. But I want to make sure you understand that this system can be profitable, and it is profitable, but if you apply it, you're not going to potentially make as much money as you think that you would make starting out as a trader, because you think that trading is just infinite money, right? Is what I really want to kind of explain. But you can have a profitable system. Okay, does everyone understand what I'm getting at right now? Or am I just rambling in a random direction? Okay, well, at least some people understood. That's what I like to hear. Okay. And then Alexander says, can apply this to a LTD system to have more opportunities? Well, Alexander, what did I just say? We just had this discussion, funny enough, for the last 10 minutes. Yes, you can apply it, right? But as you start applying it, you need to be aware, okay, that the system's still going to be profitable, but you need to be aware that if you're starting to look as 30 minutes as your higher, you're looking at this and to the right of it, of the screener. The daily is going to have likelier delivery, right? Again, if you go to a 30-minute and it's a very bullish market and you simply do what I just did with the other market where you, again, place random buys throughout the market, you're likely going to get less RR out of it, okay? Well, actually, maybe not. Well, this is where you maybe go and test. But yes, you apply everything the same way. The reason I'm showing you this through a higher time frame is because when the screener aligns in one direction, this is usually going to be the delivery across a higher time frame. So for instance, again, if I just click on this, if you see, UTHR here, which is something I'm in right now, very, very bullish, right? This is likely, in a month from now going to be here, right? It's going to likely be higher than where it is now. But similarly, if you use that same idea on a 30-minute and you say, in the next week, it's probably going to be here, that might not be the case, because it very likely could be doing something like this and still be very bullish, right? Got to go, mentor, love, and the team. I'll see you, man. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you get to catch this later, okay? Let me actually increase this so I can see it. There we go. Cool. The Bang Williams says, can I still use the 30 EVC rule? EVC times 6 times 10, okay? That's the rule. And then you can play around with some of the ones that are close. It doesn't have to be exact. And again, that will be covered in the remastered section too. Okay, let's go up now and just go through some quick little messages, see where we are, see where everyone else is, how everything is going. But that's what I want to start with, because this has been beautiful delivery. I saw a lot of you catch this, I saw a lot of you in this, and I just wanted to remind you that through a simple system, like the one I'm kind of showcasing to you guys in this webinar today, a lot of you would have caught and been in this, even if it didn't mean huge, huge earnings. Because remember, even if you're trading a $1 million Ment funding account, This trade at a 0.5% risk profile equates to about a $10,000 gain, right? It's about 10K. Yeah, 10K gain. Now that's really good. That's a 1 week for 10K. But again, not every week is like that. This one also would have been that. But then a lot of the other time you might be sitting on the sidelines, or maybe you take an entry for whatever reason and it just doesn't work out, right? Because if you're not, like, let's maybe say you're maybe not breaking even. Actually, this one also works out, I think, right? 1 to 2. No, so this one would not have worked out, right? This would either be a break even or a loss. I'd probably say it's a break even. And again, I just want to show you guys, like, your system doesn't have to be complicated. This can be your overall system, and you can do very well for yourself, which is very, very good thing, of course. A very good thing, I must say. Happy Sunday, everyone. What's up, Cyril? Good to see you, man. Just joined today. What's up, Ethan? Pleasure to have you on the team. Christian, amazing to see you, man. Marcus, Satchel, what's up, guys? Best place to be, Sarah. I appreciate you. Shellings, what's up, man? Cyril says, so everything in the new course is just broken down in a shorter time span, but the other webinars will stay. Yep, everything will stay. It's all the same thing. Nothing's ever changed. I've just increased the ability to give you everything in maybe a cleaner way. John says, UJ was still kind of wicky this week. Yeah, but it's been clean delivery. Like, I skipped this trade right here. I skipped it, and it delivered very nicely all week. So, you know, that is what it is. But depending on your system, some people will just take this because it's no issue, which is fine. Great video. Thank you, guys. Yeah, so again, this is a very, very good video, and it goes right in hand with this exact move right here, which then ended up delivering entirely. Right? Just perfect delivery into that. No complaints. That's a setup from the one-on-one on UJ. I have it on my own chart as well. Exactly. Take a picks, draw a box, and you have your system. Yep. About the screener will weekly be available in the future. Maybe. The trend already in motion increases our probability. Yes, exactly. That is why, again, the point of starting this Webby today with going over kind of a higher time frame and based on what we've been looking at was my goal, because I wanted to show you that when you have a trend alignment across multiple time frames, then that higher time frame is likely going to keep delivering. That's why you could get away with trading a system like this, right? Like extremely simple. And what's funny is most of the trading space doesn't even teach you to do this, right? The entire trading space, even if I gave them like a screener that's super bullish, right? And I said, okay, set up your setups like this. If they keep going, just, you know, get involved and let it go. Even if I gave them this on a market that's like doing something like this, right? And then it starts that bullish move, and I'm like, okay, just follow this simple like thing now, and then maybe you get stopped out of that one. But all the others deliver perfectly, right? These all deliver. Right? If this is all I gave them, everyone, the entire trading space will still find a way to do something along these lines. We broke, but we haven't retested yet, so I need to make sure price comes down to here, or to the imbalance down here, or to the crazy zone right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm maybe going to look for a sell here. Maybe at this head and shoulders there's going to be a sell, and then maybe inside of this imbalance, and maybe because if we get above this high it'll be a liquidity grab, and I'll sell here. I'll sell right here, right? So you'll still see from the entire trading space, even in a market that's just as defined as possibly can be, that they will force any and all versions of this, which is why trends happen in the first place. Not because of retail selling into the market, but because of how psychology or human psychology functions. Human psychology functions along these lines right here, where it's like, because we did this, we need to do this to do the next thing. It's like, that's not necessarily the case, right? When prices move, when they trend, right? And trends sustain themselves. So this is why you have like the entire space, the entire trading space constantly stuck on the wrong side of the market. You know, this is literally why. And if I gave them a system like this, they'd be like, no, it can't be that simple. There's no shot, right? Even though it would make them more money, right? Because at the end of the day, like I showed you guys here on the daily, right? If you simply shot your shot of 1 to 2 over and over again at any high, boom, It delivers. You take it. You take a loss. You take a new one. You take a win. You take a new one. You take a loss. You take a new one on the way up. You take a win. You take a new one. And now you're still in this trade, right? You've already made more than most people make in their entire lives trying to learn how to trade, right? Funny enough, like you get your +2, -1, +2, -1, +2, and now this one's delivering for a potential +2, but it's not there yet. So you have 2, 4, 6, 5, 4. That's +4 RR. That's not a lot, right? You did +4 RR in about 400 days, but you've already made more money than most people make trading because most people stay unprofitable for the rest of their lives because they never start to focus on what actually moves the market or how markets tend to function and trend. This is how markets trend. When you have an overall alignment of a market and it's telling you what it wants to do and where it wants to go, you can take that as a simpler buy and hold or much bigger stop, small TP, and just let that deliver. Or you can refine your understanding of how to get in. You can find smaller and better opportunities. You can start doing that across many markets. And all of a sudden, you have a profitable system that can return a very good amount of money on your money, right? On your capital. That's how that functions. Right, but the thing is, a lot of people never even make this shift right here. I want you all to remember, like, the 180 of you that are sitting here right now watching this already have more under your belt than most mentors, quote unquote, in the industry have, right? In terms of what they're trying to give or teach or try to explain. Because a lot of them are already stuck on the opposite side. Like, I can guarantee you, if you're new here, coming from another mentorship, the likelihood is that that mentor sent out a signal like this. I'm going to watch here for sells. I'll watch inside this wick for sells. And this week, hopefully we get a sell out of one of these areas. And like, a lot of the space is this. As crazy as it might sound. But I know because I've been there. I've done it myself. I've learned this way of trading. I've studied all the shit in the world. You know, the RSI probably right now is extended. Everyone's selling the RSI as well. Like, what is that? Like, look at this. Everyone's going to be selling this thing in a second, right? I don't know, man. You just have to be aware that, like, most of this, you're already ahead of most of the space. So if you use this information and just get yourself a little bit better, you're going to lock yourself into one of the best ways to view a market or or approach trading. Ethan says, how has this screener been made? I asked, just say something if you know, haha, it's okay for me if there is none, but don't answer with stupid answers like 14-year-olds. What? I'm just interested generally. It's made through the overall MB rules. That's it. Where is it? Let's make this. It's using these ranges with the exact stuff taught in this entire mentorship. And then there's a little bit more proprietary stuff that I'm personally working on to make the screener better so I can actually offer filtering options for an overall screening solution as a software. But really it comes down to the idea of if price moving higher and breaks down, it's reaccumulation. If price is moving back and forth and then breaks up, it's likely accumulation. And you line that up across time frames. That's how the screener works. But that's all within the course too. Funny enough, it's all taught. But again, I want to move to the software side of providing software to traders and building out that, along with phenomenal education. You know, of course. Hey, Ment. If, for example, both US 100 and US 500 are in a nice context, but let's say US 100 is overextended compared to US 500, which would still meet my rules. Should I stay away from trading US 500 since US 100 is relatively stronger and overextended? Another example is QQQ, but a stock is not. Do we sideline? It depends. Yes and no. If the QQQ is strong, and there are stocks that have been proven to be strong but haven't moved yet, you can still trade them. Because then if the QQQ remains strong, that stock is going to make a much bigger move. So, but US 100 and US 500 are nice. One is overextended. There's not a specific rule for that. You can't just apply that and be like, oh, one's extended, can't trade it, or shouldn't trade it, or should wait. It doesn't really work like that. You trade the setup, and then you can look at overall moves to decide if something is even worth touching to start with. But I don't do a version of that, right? Like, I got into Google on Friday, you know, and you can argue that the Qs, or stocks, have been extended. And this is probably true. If this collapses, Google will probably collapse as well. But the reality of it is that on a day where the QQQ started to collapse and started moving down, On that same day, Google just surfed higher and was going higher. So it showed strength with a very bullish context. So I took a long. And now I'm already at break even on this thing. I took a long through the high, right? So again, now if the Qs move, or if NAS moves, then this is going to make me money. And if it doesn't, then great. I'll take a stop and then I'll do it again later. Yeah, gold was a really good example this week too of something that I wanted to talk about. Okay, because this goes hand in hand with what true trend trading actually looks like. And again, you guys can even line this up. You know, there's like, you can look at this as a big MB buy as well. Some people might be in this right now. But this goes hand in hand with what I want to discuss today about trend trading, or actually any trading, because if you're not trend trading, you're almost always on the wrong side of the market anyway. But as a trader, the reality of trading is that most of your time is just spent trying to nail it, which means most of the time spent is actually in break even and losses or small wins. That's all, nothing more. Because the reality is, to catch a true move, for a move to start and a move that then goes, kind of like this one that I'm in, right? For this to happen, right, prices tap you in and then it has to literally start taking off. Expediently, exponentially, so you have to really get it right. And the reality of most tradable action is that you're not going to get it right. You know, almost any of these areas that you might have traded, if you did trade them for whatever reason, even if you caught this perfect low here, the reality is this is not a delivering trend. Like, this maybe made you a little bit of money, but it's not a delivering trend. Because the reality of trying to, let's say, catch a trend or whatever you want to call it, is that most of the time you're actually taking break even after break even after break even. A lot of people get really upset. I will guarantee you this. Probably this week, this happened to a lot of people too. Get really upset when they see this kind of thing happen. Because they feel like they're getting it wrong over and over again. They're never going to catch the right trend. They're never going to figure out what makes a market move. But the reality of trend following, trend trading, whatever you want to call it, is that most of the time, you're actually going to be not in the move, right? So I kind of posted this here and I said, you know, if we got the move right, which is actually very unlikely, if we really are in the trend, right, then great, I'm going to be in this, and then new setups will occur, and then maybe we can grab those. But the likelihood, and then you're going to have a lot more opportunities. But, and then I said I saw a few people get upset that they might have missed the move, or even that the move maybe returns, like, because this does upset a lot of people. I've noticed that. Like, people will come to me and be like, I just don't get it. You know, I took the long, but it's not perfect. It's like, well, the thing is, if this did do this, and it was the correct low, and it went to $3,000, would you be like, I caught the trend? Yeah, you would be, because you caught it. That's it. That's the trend. That's where the trend came from. But everything else, every moment before that, it should just be managed losses, managed break-evens, managed small wins, right? Even a trade like this is not the catch of a trend. This is, if you guys remember, I entered this. This is not catching the trend. This is catching the start of a potential trend that ended up falling off. And you probably made either a break-even on this or a tiny win, right? If you pay attention to my data collection, big trend, 0. Big trend, 0, 1, 4, 0, 1, 5, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, -1, -1, 5, 7, kind of a big trend, 4, 0, -1, 0, 1, 0, 0, -1, 4, -1, 10. Look how much it took me across markets to get a trend that delivered even 10R, right? The reality of trying to get into a trend and follow the big move is that most of the time, you're not going to be in a big move, right? Most of the time, you're actually going to be sidelined or taking very quick break even. So when this happened, I wasn't surprised. You know, it took off great. It took off great. You know, phenomenal. Hopefully this moves, delivers, and I can be in it. Nope. Instantly comes down. Okay, easy break even, easy stop, right? That there's nothing more to it. I don't sit there pondering on the fact like, fuck, you know, it would have taken me out. It came back. Why am I always getting it wrong? The reality is if the trend wanted to start, if these higher highs and higher lows wanted to deliver, they would have. The money would have been present. The money would have came in and the money would have moved the market higher. But it didn't do that. The reality of a move is that if it wants to have the higher highs and higher lows come into the market so it delivers, the market will do that. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. Right? So that's why this one's making me a lot of money right now. And still, if the trend fails, I'm going to only make probably around 4 to 5R on this. if the trend really reaps and goes wild, there's a chance I can, take maybe 14 or 13R out of this off of a big move, which would be a big trend. Google. This thing, if the higher highs and higher lows deliver and keep me in the trend and then fail here, that'll be a small winner of like +3, maybe less. If it then takes off and goes crazy, it can become a runner. I just want to show you all and just kind of demonstrate this through kind of my own kind of live results even recently, that most moves that you enter are not going to be deliverers. The reality of trading is that most of the stuff you're doing in between your really good trades and everything else is just simply taking break-evens and losses and small wins. The small wins pay for the losses, right? Because small wins pay and make you some money while you're taking small losses. Break-evens make you basically do nothing because the move never happens. And then when the move happens, you're in it and everyone's sitting there going, how does he always catch the big move? How did you know UTHR was going to make this crazy move? How are you in this? How did you catch this crazy move? It's like all I did is like just bought the MB through the high. Well, actually through this little sideways, and then I bought it in there. And then I broke even here with the expectancy that price was going to do what? Stop me out of break even and then chop around and do nothing. But instead, it started a run. That's it. That's as far as my entire analysis goes. I buy stopped the MB and I move my stop loss to break even here with the knowledge that this is likely going to do what? Stop me out, and it's just going to be a chopper, and there's nothing going to be to do. Or it starts a true trend. So the reality of true moves and catching true moves is that a lot of the work is done through just managing those non-true moves, right? The reality is if I took this trade right here through this ICI or this buy stop, if I took this trade, can anyone guess what this would have been in my actual trading? What is the result of this trade right here for me? Yes, this is a break even. Yes, it kept going. Yes, it's above price now, but this is a break even for me. I would have moved to break even on this trade here, and I would have taken a break even here without any profit. Then I likely would have taken the trade in here as well through the CS and ICI. Can anyone guess what this trade would have been for me? A break even. I would have broke even on this trade on this candle. I would have taken a break even here. I took this trade. I'm in it. What's the likelihood of this trade? A break even. If I'm just trading one stock, like the most recent 4 or 5 trades are all break even. Now again, let's say I took this ICI or just through the high like this. This is a trade that I would normally actually trade. What is the result of this trade for me? This would be a tiny win. This would be a win of probably around 1.2 RR, maybe less, and then a break even. Guys, is trading super easy? Is it so easy just to show up every day and just take losses, break evens, and tiny wins and never get big runners until like once every month, once every 2 months, once every half a month, whatever it might be? For me, it's easy because I'm used to it now, but for a lot of people, having that happen and having to experience that live is very, very hard, right? Having to sit there and, let's say for some reason, let's say you're trading that same kind of system that I'm trading there, right? If I'm trading, let's say this entry right through here, what do you think this entry is for me? -2, not a -2. It's either a -1 or a break even. It might have been break even, just saying. It might be break even. Okay, let's say I then enter this trade. What is this trade for me as I enter it? Right, just through the ICI high, MB high as it starts getting above the MAs. That's a break even. I don't think it's even a partial. Yeah, it's not even a partial. This is a break even for me. Let's say I then get in, comes down, maybe I get in right here. What is that trade? Be a -1. Okay, then I get in again. What is this trade? That's right, guys. It's a tiny winner. This one probably ends up being a +1.2 and then a break even. Then I get into this trade. What does this one become? Yep. Everything looks so easy now. Look, if I break even as it starts moving, it never comes back. Okay? So I get this one, or this one. All of these would now meet the same thing. And now all of a sudden it looks like catching a trend is super easy. All he did was buy, stop a high. Look how easy that is. But the reality is that I've had to go through, you know, a very, very normal back and forth of management, because that's what creates wins, right? The wins come from the fact that you're just taking the entries when they set up and you're just taking infinite normal managed positions, because like that's where profitability comes out of. Most of my trades are actually plus like 1, plus 1.2, minus 1, break even. That's most of my trades, with the occasional bigger runner and then the occasional huge runner, right? Like Nvidia was a good example. I actually fucked this one up. You guys remember this, right? I took the entry. Where did I break even? On this day, right here. And then what did it do? Took off. Okay. I'll read Jesus's question in a sec. I'm gonna go back up here for a sec, find where I was, and then work from there. Now. Let's see what we got. Any new members? We got that. How's the screener been made? Got that question. Got that. I missed the first few minutes. What was the name of the video and where do I find it? Start showing up to these on time, my good man. Is a premium indicator of Ment FX structure available for the FX structure for the members available? It's available to all the members, yeah. Look at hashtag welcome in the mentorship. Susan says, can you share a time when you faced significant losses? How did you recover both financially and mentally? I have never suffered big financial losses basically since COVID, since right before COVID, since I became profitable, because I've had no reason to. But prior to that, when I was a degenerate, doing dumb things 24/7, I spun around $100 up to $40,000. And then I lost it all, and I decided this is definitely the industry for me. It motivated me because it said, hey, the possibility in here is infinite. The fact that I can be a complete idiot and make $40,000 from nothing means that if I spend a little bit of time properly honing this skill, I should never have a problem making a living for myself doing this. So then I focused on doing that. That's it. That's how I recovered financially and mentally. I don't make dumb mistakes. I don't gamble my actual money that I need. And I would never put in money that I can't lose into the market. That's it. It's not complicated. You don't have to complicate it for yourself. You don't need to look for this like magical tooth fairy inspiration that's going to completely change your life. The reality is, don't put money in that you can't lose, right? And don't take significant dumb losses. Like there's no reason to. You have no purpose in it. Absolutely none. It's like asking me, listen, Anton, the last time you saw a mountain, did you jump off it? And if you jumped off it, how did you recover from the potential death and broken legs? And, the answer is, I wouldn't jump off it unless I had a parachute. And if I jumped off it with a parachute and the parachute didn't open and I survived, I make sure that everything is well done the next time. Forever. The reality is there's no reason to jump off the thing without a parachute, right? Like, why are you trying to kill yourself? It's the equivalent, right? If your life was determined by your ability to follow the rules in your trading book, then would you break your rules? I assume the answer is no. If you had a guy with a gun to your head at every moment of the day, and if you broke a single rule, you would be killed, none of you would ever make another mistake in your life. So why are you not allowing that same accountability to exist when there's not a guy by your side with a gun, which there isn't, right? Why don't you apply that same accountability? It makes no sense. And the likely answer is because either A, you don't want to see yourself succeed as a trader, B, you don't think you deserve to succeed as a trader, or C, you prefer to do something else, but you don't want to admit that to yourself. So either go and do something else, or, take accountability for the actions you're taking in the market. Green tea is a secret to profitability. That is very true. Susan, second question. What were some of the key turning points in your trading career and what did you learn from them? When I started to understand how to follow trends, and what I learned is that trends actually make you money, and that if you learn how to follow trends, you'll make a fuck ton of money. And then rules are the most important thing that you can live by. And if you want to make money, you should probably put the two together. Have good rules and learn how to follow trends. So you know, on repeat, like you always say, yes. Minor profit, Danielle says. On a 100K account, risking 1% is 2K a month. Here in my country is considered a crazy paycheck. Yeah, again, you know, I try not to be biased about it, but I am, of course, because I live in the US. So I try to compare earning potentials based on, you know, average US income and whatever. But you're completely correct. Based on where you are in the world, based on the background you come from, whatever it might be, you know, some of the returns that you might see on a system like this, like where you do something more simple, are going to put you in a fucking castle, right? Like literally, make you royalty, whatever you want to call it. So again, like if that's the case, why not really commit yourself to getting the thing down, the skill down, and having confidence behind what you do, and then just applying yourself, right? It's there. Let's just do it. What is longer term? Don't understand. Oh, we went over that. Is the fourth MA the 200? Yeah, this one is the 400. I mean, sorry, the 200 is this one. It's the light gray one for me. Again, I have stuff that's very light because I don't like a lot strain on my eyes. I just want to see the price really, and the 1020, and then the interaction, and then I just have these because, you know, I can see them, but I don't focus on them too much. Imagine what you can do after you know what you should look for. Better entries, better RR. Yep. Exactly. Anton, do you still use EVC with 30? The rule of 30 is like a general, but now I use the rule of 6 to 10. EVC is for 6 to 10. Multiply by 6 to 10, and then choose kind of something around there is fine. Waiting EMA to be in line will force you to be out of shitty price. Yep, exactly. That too. WTF Alex says, so the flush out on the context time frame on this system is also to flush out to the 5200 or under? Nope. The context time frame can just flush out. But again, you can create rules that are flushing out deeper if you want. After 10 months in the mentorship on Friday, I started my first challenge. I hope all goes well. You got this, bro. Follow those rules. If you have your equity curve behind you, there's nothing that should be stopping you from executing rules properly and either getting funded on the first, second, or third try, right? Because, you know, your risk of ruin is going to be a little higher through evaluations, which is fine because you have lower loss or whatever. But you're gonna be chilling, man. Follow those rules. You've taken, you know, infinite amounts of notes. You know the stuff. Just make sure you're waiting for your opportunities. That's really it. Hey man, could you look at the following stocks? I personally trade with 1 minute entry, so it would be cool to do a lower time frame analysis. I think some of these are actually right here on my list. I made a mini list. I started putting some stuff together. But I'm not going to look through each one of them for a 1 minute. Of course not, because that's going to be quite a bit. But I will look at them on the screener one just to see what's up. And then maybe look at them on a little bit of a higher time frame. But you would just apply the same thing. Yeah, so like, maybe. I know I'd go through and compare them to the underlying market, but yeah, this looks like it might be showing a little bit of strength to the market, which is good. Yeah, I mean, this looks really good. Probably lower time frame is good. This is delivering solid, so you know, I mean, this is e-liquid. I wouldn't look at it on a 1 minute. Let's just go through them from e-liquidity standpoints. You know, maybe if you took a trade inside of like here or here. I mean, I don't know exactly what you want me to do with these, to be honest. Like, if they set up, sure, but right now there's nothing on them. FICO, yeah, I see FICO as bullish. I didn't take this. I'm just tracking it because I don't know how well this is going to work out. And I don't know. This is a hard one. I really wanted to take this, but I didn't. But whatever. Yeah, it could set up on a lower. I mean, it needs to flush out now. If you took this, the entry would be like in here, but at that point, you know, it's very illiquid here. So it's hard to take it there, and then maybe you took it here, in which case you're in profit, so that's good. Again, yeah, like I can't really just go through these and be like, I don't see any good entry on any of those. They all look illiquid before entry, and then they just went. But if you have a much smaller account, you know, maybe you entered it around here, but that would have been a break even. Maybe you entered here, that would have been a break even. Maybe you entered here. That's the only trade that would have worked of all the ones you sent. This is the only good one right here if you bought this. Marcus says the last flush out due to a gap on the stock trade, but new all-time high with current UJ. Trade since beginning of May. Yep. Was the 1 to 3 RR you made a month from your beginning system enough for you to take trading full-time at the start of your career? Yep, because I didn't have as many responsibilities, okay? So when I first started trading, a lot of you know this, I was making, on average, literally like 1 to 2 RR a month, maybe even less. I think it was like 1 RR a month if I was like lucky, because I was trading the most basic kind of system I could, and you know, it was terrible. But I had around a 400K FTMO account actually at the time. You know, this was back in like 2015. So back when I was still in college, right? And on average, I was risking around, I don't remember, like 0.75%. So like 3K a trade, something like that. I think they had 400K at the time. So I was putting 3K in a trade, you know, and you know, on average, 1 RR a month puts me at plus 3K a month. And on average during that time, okay, here were my expenses. You guys ready? My rent was $450 a month. I lived in the worst part of the area and city that I lived in. Like, I had fucking mice come out at night. I could hear them. I was like, all right, it is what it is. Okay. I had groceries. Okay. I don't even remember. This was like $50 to $100 a week. So probably like 200 a month, maybe less, maybe a little bit more. Okay. Utilities were covered, which was really lucky. What else was there? I had like insurance on my car that was paid off, and the car was like super shit, and it was like barely anything a year, but I think it was like I don't know, 100 maybe a month, because I was young still. So, you know, on average, my 1 RR made me money, and more money than I knew what to do with, right? Like, again, I've said this to a lot of people, but if you truly, and again, the older you get, the more responsibilities you have, but if you truly outline what you theoretically, quote unquote, need, then you start to realize that trading can become a much more full-time thing than you think a lot quicker. So 4, 5, 6, 7, so about $750 a month, you know, so on average, you know, I was paying for everything I needed with my one R on average a month, right? And then I had savings left over to make me live another 2-3 months if I needed it, right? So if I had 2 good months, 2 RR made, then I now basically have the living criteria I need for like 6 months to a year, right? So again, if you do that math for yourself and you start to understand on average what you need to quote unquote survive or to meet your responsibilities, you start realizing that trading does not have to be this insanely lucrative, insane thing that you need to work out and be perfect at, because the reality is, this was making me as much, if not more, than what I was making at the time as like a bar back, right? So like, and I put bar back and trading together because I would work like 2 or 3 days out of the week for like 11-hour shift, right? So I was actually fucking rich by my relative means of what I needed to live through trading and through the other stuff I did, right? So like, yeah, I mean, you really just need to do the math for yourself. It's not as crazy as you think, right? Can you please show us some low RR, high win rate system, please? It'd suit me a lot more, I think. Sure. Get a very bullish market. Okay. Go to that market. Go to a daily chart. Wait for a flush out to the 50 or the 200, whatever you feel like. Wait for it to flush out. Set a buy stop higher up. Throw your stop down below a major institutional low, or a little higher, however you feel like. Look for your 1 to 0.5, and you will have a very high win rate, but you will make no money ever, okay? Then wait for a flush out, set it up again. Are we in? All right, we're in. And now you can manage your trade. Move to break even after it starts moving, okay? There you go. Move to break even on this one, probably here. There you go. Boom, move to break even. Your win rate's gonna be literally probably around 90, 95%. You will make very little money over a lot of time. If you applied this trade a few times, you know, you had this one, you had this one, and you had this one. I don't know. Came down, maybe you got this one. Break even, then you try again. Break even, then you try again. Delivers, delivers, delivers. So, you know, after, you would probably be looking at every 2 years, you'd probably make around 1 RR. But at least you have high win rate. Fantastic. Or you can do the thing that's required of you as a trader and get a proper EV in the market so you can make good money on a decent amount of risk. But that's up to you, right? Here's your low RR high win rate though. And you can even, if you really want, you can go like this. Now, you're talking about making probably around 0.3 RR a year, every 2 years. But your win rate's going to be probably 99.9%. So at least you have that under your belt. Do you expect any time when you may, we'll start upload videos from the mystery section, the mastery section. Yeah, likely in the next 2 weeks. Could you break down gold and Google trades you took this week? Sure. Gold and Google. We'll break that down in a sec. Let's make this bigger so I don't forget. Are you still using trend lines to show your tightness in the markets? Yep. Yes, I am, and that will be in the mastery. But it's simply an MB, and like this, basically the ICI added the MB. But yes, I am. In the previous webinar, you stated you need a longer sideways on your higher time frame before entering. Is this V or C time frame? Both. Because if it's on C, won't you miss plenty of opportunities? I don't care about missing opportunities if it means my EV is going to be solid. And if I can look at 100,000 markets. Is this hedge fund style system has anything to do with what you want to do with your hedge fund? I have not started looking in the whole hedge fund stuff yet at all, so don't even worry about that right now. But no, it's just because I want to teach you guys to think for yourself in terms of trends and how trends function. And also iPhone, I hope this system brings you a lot of win rate, right? And I hope even with this that you learn once and forever. And as I kind of covered in the last 2 webinars as well, that win rate is not something you should be focused on. It's a terrible, terrible metric. One of the worst. It just shows me you're still stuck in like the Instagram kind of space of validation, gratification, on the fact that every trade's a winner. It's not going to help you, man. Sam says, I thank you for the amazing information. I just got in the mentorship 2 weeks, and I'm addicted to the websites and the course. Give me a different view on the market and how to approach it. Watched over 80 hours. Dude, that's an amazing thing to hear. 2 weeks, and already you're saying you've had a complete shift in your approach, which is just phenomenal. That's what I love to hear. You said this in webinar 108. It's a limiting belief where we as humans think we're not worthy of a simple 2R system that makes real money. I'm very smart for saying that, but it's true. A lot of us don't think, hey, I shouldn't be taking a 2R system because it can make me money. Like, you don't realize. Like, I used to trade like literally a 1 to 1.2 RR system for my average 1 RR or something a week or a month, or like 1 to 2, 1 to 1.5, something very low. And I just had like a generally like normal hit rate, managed my trades, and that's why I made money, right? And again, it made me money that it was good enough for me at the time. What % of people that you take one-on-ones with allow you to post it for the group? It's not even about them sometimes. I just sometimes forget to, and I have like a clutter of all the stuff in one spot, so I just don't end up posting it. Anton is not the bully type. Who's that bullying? I would never bully someone, bro. There's no reason. Unless they're crazy. I've gotten over my ego and I'm now in the process of collecting my 500 images. Let's go, dude. Beautiful. Susan says, every time when I sit on my study desk and I open TradingView, I ask myself one simple question. How Ment looks at the chart and what reactions he gonna make. If it's EU, I'm done for the day. Good. John says, as a 1-minute trader, do you think it makes sense to use the 200 EMA rule against the weekly time frame? I think they're too disconnected, but curious what you think. Preference? But use the EVC rules and then see how the weekly interacts with those if you want to potentially use the weekly. My last 5 to 7 trades. Yes. Exactly. This is just, I mean, this goes in hand in hand with what I talk about, right? Like, you have amazing performance. You know, you're up probably like over 25R on your account just in, you know, the last, whatever this is, 9 months, 8 months, 7 months or more. I don't know how much it is. But again, like the most recent trades, right? They're all losses and break evens. And the reality of all those markets, right, is what people don't realize is like, if you try to draw those out, you know, what does that look like? That means that all that's happening is that he might be in a move and it starts coming down and he starts taking the entry. He takes the entry and then it breaks even and then it does this, right? And then he takes maybe an entry and then it just loses instantly. It doesn't even give him a break even, right? And then maybe he gets an entry and that's the +5 right there and then maybe it goes, right? But the reality is people don't realize like most of trading is just this kind of sideways play by play of trying to establish the move to then get the move, right? This not ejected properly. I think we're fine. Unless you're KNB. Just started my back to 50% BE. Good. I know it's the old sheet, but I started testing just before the new sheet came out, unfortunately, and haven't transferred the data over yet. Jesus, this is like insanely good. Are you kidding me? 500 trades. I mean, again, time-wise, we don't know how long this would take, but this is, dude, this is like if you're not on some kind of personal simulated Ment funding live blah blah anything, like you should be, right? This is insane. This is when you need to start actualizing those results. You need to start getting used to what they look like in a live market. Last week you said you wanted to see gold surf above the rising MAs on the daily before stepping down. How come you took the long this week? Let's take a look. So price was somewhere here, then it started coming up, and then it started kind of surfing right up above this 50, right under the 10 and the 20, and then I took the trade as it started coming out of that, yeah, because it did what I wanted it to do. Started coming out of that stage 1, started this move up, right? I wasn't looking at it during this time because it was just ugly, and then it started this move up, started going sideways, started going into the stage 1, and the lower time frame started putting in institutional-based higher highs and higher lows, right? And even inside of it started making those higher highs and higher lows. And then I considered an entry down here, but then I skipped it because I was like, I want to get it a little higher. And then it started moving. And then as it pulled back here, I just took the buy stop through that kind of daily FMB. It's actually right here from the daily. You can see it right there. I literally took the buy stop through that. And it started a great move. I moved to break even like right here. And then it just stopped me up. But that was why. Because it did what I wanted to see it do. Here's my example of me getting upset on a live account. Yeah, that adds up. Don't do it anymore. There's no need. Don't hurt your own bottom line. You want to do this for a living. You want to do this full time. So just do the stuff that's necessary of you, right? You being upset is not going to make you full-time. You getting emotional is not going to make you full-time. You passing the evaluation or the challenge or making money on a live, not doing the right stuff, is not going to make you full-time. So at this point, whether you make money or lose money by being emotional, it's not going to make you a full-time trader. So instead, just do the stuff that will make you a full-time trader, right? Because that's what you want to do, I'm assuming. Did you consider one before? On Google, the entry on Google, the one before. I didn't take anything else on this, no. This is the only one I took. And I didn't see a prior move on this. I mean, this was a good move here. And there was a good one here if you did take that, but they all would have been break even. So, and I wasn't looking at Google at the time. It wasn't strong. This was the first time it showed strength right here. Right here. This is when the market started to pull back and started going lower, but this thing didn't want to go lower. So to me, that says demand is potentially coming in. So I started watching it, and then that's when I took my entry. And now, who knows? Maybe tomorrow it'll just open here, and then we'll just go again, but I doubt it. We'll see what it wants to do. What are those barely seen channels? Lines around stage 1. This is for you to better see the box to buy. Yep. Just seeing where the supply is concentrated, and then as it starts getting above or near the top of it, based on the lower time from stage 1s and 2s, that's where the stage 2 should come from. That's basically what that is. When you learn from MetaFX equals yes. Is it correct to trade below the 200 EMA? Run some testing. Tell me what happens when you trade below the 200 EMA. Christian says the beauty is that you can do this next to your job on a higher time frame. Yes. Maybe 1 hour entries, and once you made it profitable and you want to go full time, you can do 5 to 15 minute entries and keep on doing the same. Yep, exactly. That's a very good thing to say. And I'm glad you actually said that because, I hate the excuse, and I even hate more the Instagrammers and the YouTubers that pretend like you can't be doing this while doing other things. It's so annoying. You can be a trader while doing close to anything else. You can make schedules work for you. You can find ways to make it work. Especially, like, you guys need to realize, like, a lot of people, and this is actually interesting because a lot of older people, okay, that get into the trading space actually start trading entirely on the weekly and daily charts. And they make their first million weekly and daily charts, and they go full time and they start making millions on the weekly and daily charts without ever stepping down. Just remember that. So the next time you're sitting there thinking, like, I have so much time, I can't balance the time, I can't balance it. Remember, if you're trading a weekly chart, how many times do you have to check the chart? 1 time a week. At the close of a candle. Look at a few thousand markets, look at where they are, see if there's a reason to take a buy stop on something or a sell stop. If you're looking at a daily chart, what do you have to do? You have to look at it once a day. Probably 10 minutes before the close or 20 minutes before the close of a candle, see if there's something worthwhile to set up for the day after or not. It's crazy for a lot of people to say that you can't do both. Just remember that, okay? So don't be the person that does that. Jesus says, Anton, I'm curious how you convinced your parents that you want to be a full-time trader considering most of society just calls it gambling. Because I didn't go after convincing. I did the shit required of me in every facet of life. I went to school. I got good grades. I had a degree. I had myself lined up for a job if I needed it. I still have a degree that has me lined up for any job that I would ever need that could make me a living. The only difference is at the same time, just like someone that might want to start learning piano, I basically started, quote unquote, learning piano or learning the trade while I did that. It's a simple hobby or skill, whatever you want to call it. You don't have to call it some like crazy thing. You don't have to shun out the world to do it. You simply just do it. You simply start learning, okay? And you get better at it. And if you become very good, then you start doing it. There's no one to convince. There's no one's minds to change. It's a very dumb way, and one of the things I hate about the trading industry, where everyone's like, cut off your friends, fuck your friends, screw the parents, go find a place and trade only. It's like, it's the dumbest thing ever. I just spoke about how you can manage responsibilities in trading. You can. I don't need to convince anyone. At the end of the day, it was the same as learning any hobby or skill you pick up. I will assume, Mr. Jesus over here, I will assume that if your parents came home and you were reading a book, any book, let's say a book about fairies and trolls, things that don't even exist, they wouldn't look at you and say, that's not real. You should not be reading that book. It's not going to help you in the real world. They would say, great, he's reading. And similarly, if you don't create a huge stigma around the fact that you're learning to trade, and instead of reading that book, you're now learning to trade, and you're doing everything else in life as you should be doing it, and you're setting yourself up for opportunities in multiple facets, then there is zero reason that anyone is ever going to give a fuck about what you're doing with your life. Okay? So at the end of the day, just treat it like a normal thing that you do and get good at it. It's so dumb to pretend like you have to convince the world that this is the thing you're going to do. Why do you care about the validation of others? Yeah, Cyril said a good answer too. I hope you have security guards. The composite man is going to find you. Hello, Mr. Men. Silly question, but how do I place a live trade where my TP is the same as the 1 to 3 trade I've marked on TradingView? When I try to place a trade on demo, the SL and TP are mucked up. Not sure what I'm messing up. Just compare prices or compare highs or lows that you're targeting, or just look at the actual entry and stop of the entry on the broker and make it 1 to 3. What signs do you look for to decide when it's time to adapt or overhaul your trading strategy? 2 questions. Actually, 1 question. Will this change make me more money? If the answer is yes, well, I'm gonna make the change. This may seem stupid, but when I started trading, it turned $10 into about $2,500, but I did not have a clear plan. I was just gambling, so I punished myself and blew up my account because deep down, I knew that I don't deserve it. There you go. How do I know which EMA is which on the Mentifex indicator? You can set up colors, or you can look at the numbers that correspond to the given colors. Weren't you in high school in 2015? Yes. Maybe. I don't remember. I don't do years, bro. I don't even know what year we're in right now. I'll be more than happy with 3K per month. More than. Well, you can do that with a 1R return on average monthly on a 400K account at 0.75% risk, or on an 800K account at 0.3% risk. But weren't you like 15 back in 2015? Yes, I was. How long did it take for you to pass 400K when only making 1RR each month? Well, I flipped those accounts. I didn't take the time to pass them. I was risking more. So it took me probably less than a month to pass, because at the time, if you guys don't remember, our favorite beloved firms actually had 30-day time limits. Before Ment Funding made a no time limit. I don't know if you guys remember what the entire prop firm space looked like. 750, that's $50 less than what I pay for a shitty apartment in Canada as a student. Well, you gotta realize I was living in the shittiest of areas. I don't know, I bet you your apartment is a lot nicer, okay, than what I had. Like, probably one of the most difficult things for me has been transitioning from a humble student into a confident, independently executing trader. Entertaining the thought that I got what it takes and I can become as good as some of the Giga Chads in this mentorship. I look up to a lot of people here, and I really want to become one of you. And you probably already are. You just need to execute, right? Most recently, I reached the conclusion that in order to achieve that, I need to filter out more trades and be more patient. Good. As impatience is exactly what's limiting me right now. Okay. Any words of wisdom, Anton? What do I need to hear? I think you said it yourself, man. Do that. Here to make money, not just trade. Yep. I know of some mentor that made an AI, which was an indicator, but it sent you signals and it could go back, test it automatically for the strategy, but they produce very high win rates, but the strategy would only work, make you place your stop loss on the weekly, blah, blah. Yeah, it's all nonsense, yeah. I talked to the guy who made the indicator, and he said, if you win 80 to 100 trades in a row, but then you finally take a loss, of which that loss wipes out half your gains, would you care really? Yes, I would. Yeah, exactly. 2 losses and you wipe out your account. Oops. I know you guys have heard the story before, but I told you guys the story, right? Of I knew a buddy of a buddy who ran a hedge fund. So he was an older guy. And they based their entire system on this thing, basically that, they had a system, a good strategy, and it would make a lot of money. And they had a lot of investment, like hundreds of millions of dollars of people that wanted to have their money in there. But the one caveat is that, they had to really watch out for their risk, because if this one thing happened, they could lose 50% of their entire capital like this, right? But what they also found through their data is that thing only happened once every like 10 years. And what's funny is, in their first year of operation, hundreds of millions of dollars under their belt, it happened twice. and all the money got wiped instantly. And that's the hedge funds and the people we look up to and say, oh, they're so smart. So yes, high win rates and then wiping out your account through one loss or two losses is the dumbest thing ever. It makes no sense. The results will show, but hard work is needed. Yep. TradingView has emailed me with 70% discounts for an annual subscription on premium non-prop account. Currently, I don't pay for service yet, but I was probably going to very soon. Want to know if you guys think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it. I mean, I have it. I don't know why, honestly. Oh, yeah, to have access to alerts and stuff. You don't need it. But it's up to you, man. If you can afford it, then go for it. Who cares? It's a write-off at the end of the day if you're running your own trading business, basically. I just started the course, finished structure 2. Nice. Oh, when do I learn about the EMAs? What did I say at the beginning of this webinar, my good man? But from 100 onwards, you should see a lot about them. You change the industry to the better, Anton. Time limit is absolute. C word. Yes, it is, man. Yes, it is. Anton, a question on context. Sure. You teach to wait for a bigger flush out on a higher time frame before looking into validation time frame because you're looking for conditions that may give you a runner. Yep. I'm not looking for a runner since my system is 5-hour RTP. All right, before I even read the rest of the question, yes, you can look way before. Yes, you can look for smaller scalps. So that's already worked out because, again, your rules are going to show you that. But let's see what the question is. So basically, I'm not necessarily obligated to wait for a super good context on a higher time frame because my next two trades can be BE and -1, -1, -1. I understand that now is not good. Is that an okay approach? Well, there you go, man. The answer was given before I finished the question because it's always the same thing, you know? If you know you can take it lower and you're okay with that risk and you're not there for the bigger move or you don't need that alignment and you're making money, then go for it. I don't do it because the later I am within a stage 2, the likelier of chop and the likelier I take more losses, and I'm not into taking that unless it really makes sense because of some kind of context where it's like showing insane strength or something. Thoughts on GJ? Probably very similar to UJ. I'm going to assume it's been bullish and it's delivering bullish. Yeah, it's just doing so a little bit weirder, right? Yeah, I mean, it paused up here. And then it had, I mean, it got a lot, it's much more wickier, it looks like, than UJ. It was very, very loose. Like, you have to find something probably in here for a trade this week, but it's the same thing. It's the same delivery in general, right? Yeah, very much uglier, right? But starts at higher, higher, low. Like, you had your MB start entries here, maybe one here, and then maybe this one through here, right? That's really all, though. I don't see anything that clear here. UJ was actually much cleaner, in my opinion. What's this? Screenshot. GJ hourly. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure there's entries, but yeah, I mean, if you're trading the system that I kind of shared with you guys, like, very simple, right? Like, I mean, follow this. Look how simple this can be for a lot of people, right? Here's your flush. 4 hour came just to the 200. Maybe you don't even check here because it didn't get there, but maybe you start watching as it starts to pull off. You go to the hourly, right? It does it sideways. You buy stop the MB. Stop onto the low, 1 to 2. There you are. This is your whole trade and you're still in it. Right? Now, as it moves higher, you just move to break even, probably very easy. And you let the trade do whatever it wants. Right? Like, or even this week, you know, you could have bought this MB, the big one, or this one. Right? These are all like potentially valid ones. And this could be your trade for the upcoming week. Like this. Right? Again, you don't complicate the system. Like if you're starting out kind of simply, these were all valid, right? But you can see like the cleaner one was definitely UJ, and I even spoke about that. I said UJ was cleaner than the other ones. It started to set up very nicely. I didn't like it back here because it was really weird, but then it flushed out beautifully. The weekly came into a very, very nice, just nice sideways right here. Very clean. You notice how this, like, notice this, and then compare that to, actually this one was fine too. It's just at the top. It didn't come to the 10. I mean, yeah, both of them were technically fine. And then I think the daily was what made it. Yeah, this daily flush was very nice. I love this daily flush. Like, this is what I normally like to see. And then GJ, I think, was a little weirder. It had a good daily flush too, actually. But then past this point, it got ugly. And UJ remained good at that point. It remained powerful. And then it just delivered. Yeah, I was just watching UJ. I've just had UJ on my eyes, on my list for, like, the longest time. It's just been really clean. And it's continued delivering, which is great. So, yeah. Is it one of your goals to one day be able to manage a lot of capital from investors? Probably not. Maybe. I haven't decided where I'm going to head with all that. We'll see. Probably not, though. I'd rather build out cool software for traders. I think I'm more interested in that. I have a lot of really cool ideas for software that could be very helpful for people that are profitable. And the cool thing is people that are profitable want things to improve their profitability or improve the efficiency of their profitability. So, like, it's a win-win. And in my book, if you can become profitable, and then I can give you or sell you a screener or a software that's phenomenal and just improves what you do for less of a cost than 0.1 RR of what you make in the long run, I think that's the easiest sell, right? I don't know what profitable trader would look at that and be like, I don't want it, you know? But I don't know, maybe. We'll see. Meant, in order to trade a 1 hour system, what's my EVC going to be? Do the math. Times 6 times 10 on average. Again, just do the math, man. It's not wizardry. This is my GJ trade this week. I got very annoyed when I took majority partials on Friday when price was flushing out to the 200. The plan was to take more profits if such one price got to 202. Thoughts? What was it? I saw it just now, right? I got very annoyed. Well, you can't get annoyed because, I mean, like, I don't know. That doesn't do anything for you. And you have a photo on a phone, and I really just don't know what's going on here, to be honest. So, this is my GG trade. I got very annoyed when I took my majority partials. You got annoyed when you took partials. I don't know what to say to you, man. Don't get annoyed that you took profits. Like, what? Reposting. Anton, a question on context. I went over that. Thoughts on Euro CHF? Oh, that sounds like an exotic. And I know that I don't like exotics. But despite my hate for them, I will look at it. Now, this says bearish, for sure. And some bullish. So I'll keep that in mind. And I'm going to flip it, because I like to flip things. Yeah, I mean, continuations bearish make a lot of sense. Came out of this, going sideways right now to the 10. Yeah, looks good. And yeah, I mean, you can get setups on this for sure. It looks good for bearishness. I won't trade it because I don't like to touch exotics really at all. Like, I'm just touching the liquid stuff. When the liquid stuff shows up, then I'm happy. Force quit applications. System has run out of memory. What the fuck? That's not good. It'll be fine. Yeah, I mean, it looks good for bearishness, sure. It can definitely deliver some bearish moves. Anyone else's trading view freeze when you go down to a second's time frame and play price and go to a higher time frame and try to play price? Yeah, they have some issues. Anton, any updates on Screener for crypto assets? I really am waiting on them so much. Listen, I want to get stuff as fast as possible. Schelling says each webinar is 3 gigabytes. Dude, you're funny. Our last webinar, okay, was this one? Was 122 gigabytes. But that's a good guess. Very close. Anton's PC ate all the RAM. Corn for shorts. Corn. Yes. Yeah, it's very good. If you got in back here, it was perfect. Yeah, your entries were here. This is where the entries were. Now you're late to the party. You should have been trading this thing here for sure. Or down here even. This is a little bit harder. This one's like the clearest one. Maybe on a lower time frame you followed that up, but this is late. So now you would need a either push and then reset, or it freezes again, right? And then you can get another move. So right now you got nothing to do. Ton USDT setting up again. Probably not. I think a lot of cryptos are just going to shit right now. Right? Oh, wait, let me flip this back over. I don't know. It's a hard one. Maybe. It'll need to flush out for sure. But Bitcoin, I mean, it's at the moment, I kind of sent this out, but I'm pretty sure this wants to go lower. I don't see anything else. To start watching it, it would probably need to, I'm assuming, it would need to push up, probably fall off a little, and then right here, you might get some entries like this. Otherwise, there's nothing to touch. This thing is just bearish, super bearish, just falling down right now under all the MAs. I think this needs like a week. This looks like gold a week ago or 2 weeks ago. So, you know, the fact that this is moving super, super bearish, right, and having a little bit of up days, but this thing is being bought up, right? So this thing has a lot of strength, which is good. This thing definitely has strength behind it. So what I think is going to happen is I think over the next week, you're going to have Bitcoin fall off, and this is going to slow down a bit. Probably come down a little, maybe to like 650, right? And then you can get those moves higher. Is I think what's going to happen. Okay? I'll give it a little bit of time, though. All right, let's look at gold. So, gold. It's dog shit. Don't touch it. Well, I'm not touching it. The move I'm looking for failed. Again, same thing. I'm back to sidelines while this chops around now. Probably going to come down lower now to like 22, 2280. I don't know. It'll come down probably. It's not doing anything right now. It should not have failed here. This is very weird. Well, higher highs and higher lows are holding actually, so that's a lie. It's not entirely weird, but I hate this candle. I absolutely hate it. I think it needs time. Probably give it 1, 2, maybe 3 days. Maybe let it come up and then go sideways, but right now it needs at least 3 days, like 2 days, 3 days, something like that to go sideways. I don't see anything on this. And then again, for the actual gold trade this week, similar as what I talk about, right? Price comes down to this long-term stage 1, starts building kind of the stage 1, starts to stage 2. Stage 1's just at these kind of downward sloping 10 and 20, upward sloping 50. So again, a move out of this would be like basically an entry on a higher time frame. Lower time frame began to build that higher high, higher low very beautifully. And then provided this entry here, like the week before, and this week started, ran up. I considered taking something here, but it was 1 a.m., so I didn't take it. I went to sleep. And then the next day I took the entry here to see if we get a follow through. It didn't follow through. And now, like from an institutional perspective, right, if you want to draw it out, you have this higher high, higher low, higher high. So this is technically a higher low right now, which is why I think, you know, give it a little bit of time. I think what's going to happen, if we are to get a trade on this, I think I want to see this probably either push lower first, or just make a push higher, pause, fall down, let the MAs kind of start getting choppy a little bit, and then entry, entry, and then maybe a longer term sideways right here, right? And then you go. So like this is what I'd likely want to see on this thing if we are to get a move out of it. But this needs time. And then if it gives it like 1 or 2 days, it should start to build some kind of cleaner daily like little sideways. But right now, this thing's straight down. So the likelihood of this thing based on that isn't to accumulate, it's actually probably to do something like this, right? Like I would not be surprised if we saw something like this happen tomorrow even, or in 2 days. Because like this is so weird, right? This should have activated. It's same thing as this thing. This should have activated a move. It didn't. This should have activated a move. Even if it paused a little bit right there and took me out, it still should have activated it. It didn't. So the likelihood is that, hey, we're not there yet. We're still setting this trend up. So it's sidelines until proven different. You commented on oil at the start of last week, but I saw absolutely nothing on it. Could you check it out and explain if you see anything? Yeah, it was good trades. Pretty sure. Yeah, I didn't take this, but this was clean. It was really good. Overall bullish. Very bullish actually overall. In this large range right here. Moving bullish, comes down, you know, kind of going into this sideways environment for now, but that's fine. Has this nice little weekly run up over the MAs, proving that it has money behind it. Starts going sideways just at or right below the MAs, which is great. So starts building kind of that stage 1. Again, long-term stage 1. What did I do here? Yeah, starts building, it kind of built this stage 1. Or long-term stage 1, stage 1, 2, 1, 2, right? So expectation is to start that. On the daily, you had price extend on the downside here, come out of this. I mean, this is a harder one to follow, but this came out of this little stage 1 and the 2 right here, and it started going sideways up over these MAs. So that was your stage 1 to get involved in. And that 65-minute or 60-minute, whatever, I don't really care, started building those higher highs, higher lows. These were your initial entries. This was very hard to catch. I would not have caught that. Started building those higher high, higher lows, and then set up some beautiful ICIs here, right through that to go. And now it's still sustaining its higher highs and higher lows. So likely you're talking about a little bit of pause and then continuation. Right now you can see the daily here. You know, again, give it a day or two. This is actually really good and clear action. Give it a day or two. Let it kind of just pause for like a second here, and then you should see continuation on this. And then it'll pause again up here, and then it'll continue. Right now, oil is very bullish. I really like oil for bullishness. It looks very clear. But yeah, the best entry was here. Outlook on gold. Just went over that. Very bad. Gold sucks. Ton USD would not touch. Like I said, waiting for Bitcoin to shape up. Bitcoin is dog shit right now, though, as we know. Looks like it's bearish. Oil was below the 200 MA on the daily. Again, this is where if your rule is specifically with the 200, that's fine. Use that. When it's right here and it's building that move, I'm not looking necessarily at the MA. It's somewhat important, but I'm looking at the move. The move is building the stage 1 I want to see. It's building it from a clean move. It's building it from a clean higher time frame. It's building it in a clean screener environment. So the fact that we're at this 200 means that this is either correct or it's wrong. And then it rejects or it goes through and it's part of that move. It's part of that trend. So I'm happy to look at it there. Again, because I don't sit there looking at a specific MA as like the bread and butter, the only thing that must happen for the move to be correct. It's a generality. It's oftentimes the case that the best trades will come above the 200. And guess what? If this does sustain, this move here will be above that 200. This move here will be on a sloping up of a 200. And then you'll get the move. And then that's going to be the trend. But the first entry, the first initial stage 1 entry was here, which I didn't touch because for me it's too hard. But this is the one that was clear and that I would have taken. So again, this is just part of the game. You have to be aware that like the fact that the 200 is right here and price is being bought right at it is enough for me. Looks like a short webinar. Usually Outlook is at 1:15. Yeah, okay. We're 2 hours in, relax. US 30 looks very nice. Does it? Anton, when did you start trading and how old are you now? I started trading when I was about 10 years old because I was a little degenerate and I spent a lot of time online. And I am 25 right now. Anton, if you hold 2 thumbs up, fireworks will appear behind you. I don't know if it worked. I see a thumb appear on your camera again. Yeah, I don't know why that happens, bro. I think it's like something with the Mac. It's funny though when it happens. It looks so funny in the playback. Okay, that looks good. I'm a little degenerate. I was a little degenerate, bro. A little 10-year-old degenerate just going crazy. Josepha says, Ment, on a 15-second, price tends to give many entries, which is still fine with EV. How can I further reduce the amount of trades further? Like back in the day, you had a rule of double and be on 1 second and still taking 34 trades. However you want, right? Literally. But the reality is on a 15-second, in a good context, you will get more entries. If I can get, like, look, okay. Here's UTHR. This is a trade that I took, okay? This thing had probably setups, if I was watching it, in here. That might have been break even. Probably in here. Maybe that I took a break even or a loss on. Then in here, right? And maybe something even like back in here that I maybe took a break even or a loss on. So like, you know, in 51 bars, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential trades. Okay, and that's 3 months. But on a 15-second, well, 50 bars on a 15-second is 12 minutes. So guess what? If you're trading that kind of time frame and there's a context and there's maybe allowability for approach, then, oh, actually, the entries would be through the 65. So actually the bars would be 300 bars. Okay, 300 bars times 15 seconds over 60. So again, in about 75 minutes or in about an hour or a bit over an hour, you might have 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 trades. It's not crazy. That's how timeframes work. So if you don't want to trade as much, then up the timeframes or reduce the amount of trades you take in a given day. Just accept the fact that you want to take less trades because maybe you get more emotional when you start taking trades and taking losses and being wrong about price. If you take a loss on a day, maybe you can walk away. Maybe that's enough for you. Yeah, that's just up to you, man. Anton, check UK 100. It probably looks like NAS right now, right? I'm gonna assume. No, it does not look like NAS. Yeah, I mean, it looks great. It's in a stage 1 right now. It's in this little like stage 1 right here, right? The daily came out of this stage 1, started to stage 2, going sideways now. Yeah, this should start a nice move higher soon. A little bit shitty down here. That's okay though. Like probably a day or 2, and then it should start making a move. This looks really good for continuations, for sure. No reason we can't go. Start clearing highs. Yeah, a lot of UK stocks are probably setting up or have set up already. If there are independent UK stocks on the FTSE 100 or whatever, then there's going to be great moves. US 30. Oh, looks like there was something in there that I was looking at. Oh, and it did work out. Well, there you go. That's your thing. Yeah, bullish was good. If you didn't trade it down here, you made a mistake. Now it needs a little bit of sideways. Yep, just looks exactly like UK 100. Microsoft. You missed the trade. Why don't we trade it here, or here, or here? On 5 minute. What's that? 5:30, 5 hour or so? Yeah, it could. 5 minute entries were, I'm going to assume, in here, and maybe here, but this is a bit extended now, right? So again, the best entries were probably back here. Very choppy, very, very ugly. Honestly, this was kind of shit. I think the only entry was actually on this day. You know, maybe something through here, here, or here. Or like through a little sideways of this. Something like this was fine, probably. But again, like on a 5 minute, it's 0.18%. So I don't know why you're even trading this stock. You can't risk properly on this. You can't even risk like 1% on this, or zero. You can't even risk 0.5% on this. You can only risk 0.2% on this if you buy 100% of it. So I could really do with the screener having UK 100 for this upcoming week. Do we not have UK 100 on there yet? That'll be the next step to get that on there for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have it. We don't have it on there right now. It's hard. We have to pay for every single thing we put on there, so we're trying to figure out a better way to do it. But yeah, I'll look into getting that on there as well for you, man. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't see... So Microsoft, you're late to the party, and if you're trading a 5 minute, I don't know why you're trading a 5 minute, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, like, this has a few steps. I mean, it's coming out of this, like, little stage 1, started that stage 2, stage 1, stage 2, stage 1, stage 2, stage 1. So, like, you're kind of later in the move, but inside of here, you know, there's a chance on that hourly chart for sure. You know, you started that higher high, higher low stuff. Higher low. Yeah, I mean, it delivered nicely. Gave you an opportunity here and actually gave you an opportunity just at the close. Kind of like through here. So probably something like this. 2, 4, 2, 4. Something like this. So like this is fine, but I don't know, man. Like this is in line with the market at the moment. It's showing a little bit of strength, right? Closed week. No, I mean, it's just moving with the market at the moment. I mean, I think the entries were down here. I personally would not take something like this, but that's up to you. In the future, if we wanted to scale this to, say, a $50 million account, would this actually be plausible? Wouldn't we get maxed out on all credible prop firms, or wouldn't it be difficult to manage such large funds on your own? Because I've just rarely heard about insanely rich traders, 100 mil plus, except for the influencers that basically just make the majority of their money from scam courses or on all do you know what the max allocated capital could be there from lend funding? 5 mil. You can scale it to any amount you want, but the scaling directly of what we will back you with is 5 mil. It's right here. You'll get your account doubled over and over again, that initial to 5 mil, and then from there you can build it to whatever number you want. You can build it to 15 mil for all I care, but this is how much we will put up. Can you add JPN 225 and AUS 200? Yeah, I'll look into that too. Here, I'll take a note on it down here. Wait up. JPN 225, AUS 200, UK 100. What time frame would make more sense? For Microsoft, higher time frames, because it's a stock that moves a lot less. Entering a 5 minute on this makes no sense. Like, even if you risk this entire MB, if you entered this whole MB or this whole MB, your risk is 0.62% of the move, which means that if you put 100% of your account in this move and even went on margin, the maximum you could risk on a trade is 0.6% or maybe 1.2%. It doesn't make sense to go on margin to do that. It just doesn't. Like, so you wouldn't be trading this thing. And if you were trading it, like, the moves were coming out of this thing, coming out of this thing, and this thing. Those were the good moves, and then maybe here, but it's a little bit late. And then it reset, which is perfect. And then again, the moves are coming out of here, maybe in here, maybe at the latest in here, but already it's above kind of all highs. So this is kind of like one of those, you know, kind of like, it's like an ICI that's higher up. So it's, you know, it's much less likely. And then you're looking at it here. This feels like an extension now. So I don't know about that. Right, and then if you are lower time frame, then I guess it's okay. But yeah. Anton, what is the minimum time you would suggest in going through the course per day? Up to you, man. You live your own life. You have your own responsibilities. You have your own time. I don't determine that for you. That is not my place at all. Start with 5 minutes. If it's not enough, you can up it. There you go. Right? Like, listen, if you were learning piano, how much time would you dedicate a day? I mean, like, listen, if I wanted to pick up doing something right now and I wanted to get really proficient at it or even do it full time, well, I'm probably going to put in minimum 6 hours a day, right? But that's me. Why did you switch from 1 minute entry to 5 minute entry? Well, I actually use a 60-minute entry now. And the reason I make a switch is because I scaled my system to a higher time frame. So I can trade more things, spend less time on the charts, manage more trades. Can you look at this? It's not available in TradingView. Yeah, what's there to look at, man? There's nothing I can do with this. This is useless to me. Like, what am I looking at here? Would you recommend 1 hour entries to newbies without much capital? I would recommend profitable systems. My man, like... Come on. If you ever come to the UK, I'll have my Italian nan make you the best pasta. All right, man. That's awesome. I would recommend trading a profitable system is what I would recommend, John. I don't really care how much capital someone has. If they have less capital and they want to put it to work quicker and they want to use lower time frames, they can. If they want to create a system out of a higher time frame and use it there, then they can. If they want to use the capital they have or get a job to get enough capital to get funded, to have more capital, to trade a higher funded account because they would make more by doing that than trying to flip a smaller account into higher, then they can do that. Again, like you're like playing the game of life and trying to find the perfect like route of it, but there isn't. Like it depends on the person entirely. Live equity curves for the year so far. Still working on having my curve going more sideways than those steep drops. Pay attention to some of those losses and those wins and see what break-even rules could have let you basically stay in the move then. Did you go over your Google entry? All right, I'll go over that really quick as the final. Also, this UTHR thing took off. This is where we spoke about it. Yeah, webinar 157. We spoke about it right here. As I moved to break even like on this day. And since then, the last week has been wild. And take a look at this. You know, as this thing kind of just comes down, the move I'm in just skyrockets. This is crazy. But that leads me to Google. So on this day right here, the market, the QQQs and whatever, started going down. Started to correct. And this thing just kind of kept pushing. It just sat there. So to me, that looked like demand was coming in. So I was willing to potentially try something off of the fact that we have a nice stage one. So if the move does happen, and if the NASDAQ continues to move for whatever reason, then there's a chance this follows through for a nice little move. So weekly wise, you know, you're coming out of kind of this much larger stage one. You moved into accumulation and you've moved through multiple stage ones on the way up. A little bit of a longer stage one started coming out. And then really some of the better entries might have been inside of here. So I had that highlighted. And then this is where we were this week. So I want to go take a look at it on a lower time frame. And then as you get lower, you notice that daily just kind of had a huge gap and fell off. So there wasn't really much to do there. And then up inside of these areas here, you started building out a longer term stage one. So deeper stage one. And again, I wasn't watching this thing at all until this day, literally right here. Because that's the day that showed me, hey, money's coming in. So I didn't have any of this on there. I just put it on just to see where we are, kind of tried to tell the story of what's going on. So you had the stage one start. Stage two started out of that, started to move higher. You know, there's probably entries in there that I could have gone and looked for. So I do end up doing that. New stage one begins, and then right here, that bullishness shows up. So I asked myself, what's going on a lower time frame here? Have we started building some structure institutionally? Is there a reason to take a trade here? What's going on? And as I went lower, you can see I kind of drew it in. You have this push up. It's higher high, higher low, higher high. And then when I showed up on that exact day, we were at this higher low. And there was no reason for price to go lower. Price had just undercut just these MAs right here, which is what I like to see. Basically getting accumulated. And then out of that, the first entry was you could have taken this FMB right here. I didn't do that because I don't think I had it on my list yet. But then this Thursday is when it showed up because it was showing bullishness. This is that bullish day where most of the market went down. And then come the next day, I was kind of looking at this ICI, this FMB, this buy stop, and then price gapped up over here. So I was just looking at this high through this, and then that lined up with this daily. I'll show you. Lined up with this daily, right? This daily FMB or CS, whatever you want to call it. So this one or this one. Just looking at that high at the time. So as I go lower now, right? That's that high. So all I did is I buy stopped right through that high. As price opened up, protected on the downside, and price just started taking off. And right here, I broke even on the trade because, the strength came in. And now the strength either sustains itself and the market keeps going and then I get to make money on this, or it falls off and takes me out. But we did make that higher high. So now the next step is likely a higher low, which I hopefully survive through. So maybe it's a shorter term one, which would be very nice. And then it continues. So very simply, either Google is very demanded right now, and even if the market goes sideways, this will go up, or the market falls off and everything else follows and I'm out of this thing and then it just chops, right? So it's just like, just following the same thing over and over again. And I only actually looked at this because I had it on my list. I literally had it on this list right here. And on the day that the whole market was like correcting, Google was just going up. So I was like, okay, this thing has some strength. I don't know why, but it does. So I'll keep an eye on it. And it was a great setup. So I took it. I'll see you, Shallings. Thanks for being here, man. And yeah, this is now in a stage 1 again. So again, this is one of those moments where either this just takes off, right? Again, very simple. It takes off and it continues this bullish run, and then great. We get to run that up, and then hopefully Microsoft keeps going and UTHR just explodes for no reason. Or the market corrects. This corrects with it. I get back in maybe a little bit higher. Hopefully I survive through the stop that I have currently. And we go higher. We'll see what happens. And then for all of you positioned on this thing, beautiful. Tons of respect to all of you that got in this, because we're about to be at new highs again. And we're going to start the week, and you already know what's going to happen. It's likely going to be a little, just a classic. Can you go through your partial rules again? Yeah, at the moment it's get in, strength comes in, move to break even. If more strength comes in, try to sustain the move. If it breaks down below a general structure, then you can take half off. Or if it extends too heavily and pushes way higher, take half off. Leave the rest to trail either with burst candles on a little bit of a higher time frame, or with double MBs, or with a moving average. That's it. Just depends on how the stock is moving. I'm trying to move more towards the moving averages though, because it just seems to be better. Where was it? Yeah, this move here. This is when we first started watching UJ. I don't know if you guys remember this, but this is where we first started watching this. This thing was crazy, right? And then it just went, just took off. And then we started watching it again back here. And since then, it's been a little bit choppier, but off we go. Right, I'm not in this thing, as you guys know, but it's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Taking 50% when price closes under the 50 MA on the time frame of entry is so powerful. Yeah, that, or just simply higher highs, higher lows. Like if I show you this, check this out. So like if I took a trade anywhere in here, right? And you just follow it, higher high, higher low, 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 higher high. You either sell into this crazy push or you sell into this. And you can see that lines up with that 50 as well. So like it's all the same thing, right? It's like it's very close in comparison. What futures prop do you recommend? None of them. Because I haven't done any research on them. So do your research and choose the ones that make the most sense to you. And who knows, maybe Men Funding will have some futures options in the future. We'll see. Excellent webinar, got to go. I'll see you, Christian. Thanks for being here, man. Watch the rest later when uploaded. That's pretty much it, bro. I think we're done. My brain is going crazy. But yeah, like just a simpler rule. Like notice even this one, like I sold here. Why'd I sell? I don't know. But if I just followed normal rules, check this out. Like higher high, higher low, 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 higher high. I could have sold my first position right here. Right there. Crazy. Fucking crazy. Why would people start trading futures if there's not much difference in the market? Because you have access to more markets. That's it. Futures gives you access to more markets. Right? FX gives you all, like... FX can give you actually like US 100, but you can probably get like better spread with futures. I'm not sure how it all works, but you do get more markets. That's really it. All right, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up. We got a lot of people shuffling out of here, so I think it's time to wrap it up. All right, guys. Listen, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for showing up to these. It makes them beautiful. It makes them amazing. I hope you guys were able to take a lot out of this one, especially if you're new. I hope you see what you're kind of working towards and what's available in front of you, okay? Use the tools. Get accustomed to them. Get better. I will see you all in the trade talks. Let's have an amazing week. Follow your rules. Get better. Manage your trades. Go fucking kill it, all right?